everyone. Today is the 6th of May, so we will be commemorating the 106th anniversary of the Pontian Greek genocide in a few weeks. So I'd like to record this message for our global Pontian community as a message of solidarity. And I'd like to briefly discuss the results of Turkish denialism of this genocide. My name is Uzay Bulut. I'm a Pontian journalist who left Turkey about 10 years ago. And ever since, I've written extensively about the history of this genocide and other incidents related to Turkish politics and history for various publications. I'd like to start my speech with a description of denialism by Elaine Cohen, a distinguished family therapist. She writes, "In human behavior and psychology, denialism is a term that captures an individual's choice to reject reality as a way to evade acknowledging an uncomfortable truth. It is characterized by the refusal to accept the existence, truth, or validity of something, regardless of solid evidence or proof substantiating its reality." So this definition of denialism is about the type of denialism that individuals engage in. Let's think about an entire nation engaging in denialism about a massive crime their ancestors committed, their government committed against the indigenous people of the country where they currently live. So this denialism, this aggressive and violent denialism by both the Turkish state and Turkish society still greatly shapes the Turkish politics, which is completely non-democratic and dictatorial in nature. And first of all, let me give you some brief information about the historical context of this genocide. The Pontian Greek genocide started in 1919. Of course, this is just a part of the broader Greek genocide that targeted all Greeks across Ottoman Turkey, from Eastern Thrace to Asia Minor to Cappadocia to Smyrna and Pontus. On the 19th of May, the global Pontian community and everybody that cares about justice and truth commemorates the Pontian Greek genocide, during which around 350,000 indigenous Greeks of Pontus were massacred. Today, most of the survivors of this genocide reside in Greece. I wrote this recently on Twitter, but then I thought about it, and I was talking to a friend of mine who is a descendant of the genocide survivors that took place in Smyrna in 1922. And she told me, Uzay, actually, the vast majority of Pontians today live in Pontus, in Turkey, which is correct because myself included, most people in Pontus have Greek roots. So we have Greek ancestry, Greek DNA, although most of us are unaware of this. So most Pontian Greeks still live in Turkey, but they are unaware of this history and of how their ancestors were forcibly Islamized and Turkified. So the Pontian Greek genocide took place at the same time as the Armenian genocide and the Assyrian genocide. And it was like an ISIS-like jihad genocide against all Christians of the Ottoman Empire, and around 3 million people were massacred in that genocide. So this is how the Turkish Republic was established over 100 years ago. But today's Turkey, and Turkey actually from the very beginning, not only aggressively denies this genocide, but they actually celebrate the genocide as a victory against both alien invaders and locals who were traitors. And by that, they mean the indigenous people of Anatolia, Greeks, Assyrians, and Armenians. There is this massive crime committed during the founding phase of the Turkish Republic. But the Turkish people, of course, as a result of the Turkish state propaganda, sees this genocide as something to celebrate. Of course, they never call it genocide. They see it as a war of national liberation, and they take pride in it. Anyone who questions this narrative could be jailed, arrested, prosecuted, and even killed. This denialism and distortion of historical realities severely damages the Turkish people's ability to understand, analyze, and appreciate historical realities related to the founding of their republic. So this has been the case for over 100 years in Turkey. So, and today, when we look at Turkish politics, the daily lives of Turks, we see thousands of mayors, opposition mayors in jails, and we see that people could just get arrested and spend years in prison for a Facebook post or a Twitter post. So when the state becomes an enemy of truth, they become hostile to all kinds of truths and all kinds of criticisms of their actions and policies. So today's people in Turkey are also victims of denialism of the Christian genocide that was committed during the founding phase of their republic. And because they deny this genocide, something that almost all serious historians agree on, their relationship with historical truths, historical realities, has been harmed or destroyed. I mean, a lot of newspapers in Turkey and on social media, a lot of Turks try to portray me as a traitor just because I try to truthfully and honestly address these issues. And I'm not the only one. Whoever tried to talk about this issue in an honest way, truthful way, in a way that will honor the victims of the genocide, we are targeted, we are harassed, and in my case, I can't even go back to Turkey for now. So that's one of the reasons. The denialism of this genocide is one of the reasons why Turkey is still not a democracy. It's not a healthy country. And criticism of the government or of the culture, political culture in Turkey, is not tolerated. It's because when you lie about something so massive, lying about anything else just becomes normal because your relationship with truth is damaged or is non-existent. That's why if Turkey wants to be a democracy, a truthful society, a society that honors and respects truth and honesty, they have to face this genocide and acknowledge it honestly and apologize to the victims and their descendants. About another issue that I'd like to address is about 5 years ago, I wrote an article about one of the genocide survivors who was forced to move from Turkey, Pontos, to Greece. And she lost her life about 5 years ago. And these are the people, I mean, the survivors of the genocide, the first generation of the survivors or victims. We as members of the Pontian community should do our best to record and document their experiences and for future generations, because this issue has been studied and researched and acknowledged by scholars, historians, and genocide scholars on a global scale. But still, we need to find all the survivors and their descendants and document professionally in a systematic way all of their experiences, what they experienced in Turkey and how they were deported to Greece and everything else that happened after they were resettled in Greece. This is one of the issues that the Pontian community should focus on, I think. And one last thing that I'd like to emphasize is when we talk about the genocide, it's not because we are an enemy of Turkey or because we hate Turkish citizens. I am a Turkish citizen, and I wasn't raised, I'm not a minority citizen of Turkey. I'm not a member of a minority community in Turkey, but I know I have Greek ancestry, and I'm a proud Pontian Greek. And this is the case with so many people in Pontus. We just need to help educate them and open their eyes that when they hate Greeks, when they target Greeks, when they convert Greek churches into mosques, when they confiscate Greek properties, and when they occupy almost half of Cyprus, and when they threaten to invade Greece, they're actually hating and targeting and trying to destroy their own people, our own people. So when you hate Greeks, when they hate Greeks, they hate themselves. It's just pathetic self-hatred. And of course, you can be from Central Asia, or you can have Turkic roots, you can be Mongolian, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you are especially Greek, if your ancestors were Greek, if they were Christian, if they spoke Greek, and if today you are either unaware or in denial about these things, and you still want to invade Greek islands, you still have no problem with Hagia Sophia, with the Hagia Sophia Church becoming a mosque, and if you have no problem with the destruction of the Greek cultural and religious heritage across Turkey, this is very tragic, because you're actually destroying the cultural heritage of your own ancestors. That's what we should try to educate Turks about. It's not because we hate them. It's because truth matters, and our identity matters, and who we really are matters. It's not a matter of racism or supremacy, no. But if you are Greek, if you are Armenian, if you are Assyrian, why not embrace these identities? Why not honor the roots of our ancestors, the ethnic root or the faith of our ancestors? Why be in denial? I think truth matters, and on this anniversary of the Pontian Greek genocide, we remember all the victims of this genocide, we honor them, and we will always talk about what they experienced, and we feel their pain. And I'm sending this message of solidarity and love to the members of our global Pontian community. We are still alive, we are still strong, and we have each other, and we need to let the whole world know what happened to our ancestors. Thank you so much for listening.